Galactic Empire never had war with humans before, so we warned them. Run. The galactic hegemony had ruled the stars for 10,000 cycles without meaningful resistance. Their automated war fleets had subjugated hundreds of species across 3 spiral arms. Admiral Zextral, supreme commander of the hegemony's expansion fleet, had personally overseen 57 successful conquest campaigns. Yet as he studied the data on the newly discovered civilization from the backwater system designated Sol 3, something felt different. The bipedal mammals called humans had only achieved FTL travel 2 decades prior, but their military development was concerning. "Admiral, we've decoded more of their transmissions," reported Sub-Commander Frill. "They call their homeworld Earth. Their military vessels follow naming conventions from ancient water-based navies." Admiral Zextral's secondary eyes blinked in sequence. Any defensive capabilities worth noting? Primitive shields, but unusual weapon systems. Their projectile technology is unorthodox, and they've developed something they call kinetic bombardment platforms. Kate Wilson, captain of the Earth Defense Force flagship Defiance, stood on the bridge as the massive alien vessel materialized at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. First contact protocols had been established years ago, but this was humanity's first encounter with the civilization that apparently dominated the galaxy. "Open communications," Kate ordered. "Standard greeting package." Her communications officer, Alan Reeves, nodded. "Transmitting now, Captain." The alien response came swiftly, a formal declaration demanding Earth's immediate surrender and integration into the hegemony. Kate's expression hardened. "Send our response." On the screen of the hegemony flagship, Admiral Zextral watched as the human captain's message played. "This is Captain Kate Wilson of the Earth Defense Force. We respectfully decline your offer of integration. Earth and her colonies remain sovereign. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. For your own safety, we advise you to withdraw your forces immediately." Zextral's mandibles clicked in amusement. "They advise us. How quaint." "Sir," interrupted Frill, "intelligence analysis suggests their warning may be more than empty bravado." "Nonsense. Begin standard conquest protocol." Jack Miller, director of Earth Intelligence, reviewed the classified reports from deep space monitoring stations. The hegemony fleet was mobilizing exactly as predicted. "They're not taking us seriously," he told the assembled Joint Chiefs via secure hologram. "Just as we expected." General Diane Blackwell nodded grimly. "Then we proceed with Operation Thunderclap." Within hours, a single unassuming Earth vessel, the scout ship Harbinger commanded by Captain Nathan Ortiz, approached the hegemony fleet. It transmitted a simple message on all frequencies. "Attention hegemony forces. This is your final warning. Earth does not wish for war, but we are prepared for it. We have studied your previous conquest patterns. We understand your tactics. We have countermeasures you cannot imagine. Retreat now, or witness capabilities that will make you regret your decision." Admiral Zextral's laughter echoed through the command deck. Such theatrical threats. One small vessel dares to challenge the might of the hegemony. He ordered a single destroyer to intercept and capture the human ship as a demonstration. The destroyer's commander, Sub-Admiral Krez, deployed standard capture protocols, a graviton net designed to disable the primitive vessel's propulsion. What happened next would forever change the hegemony's understanding of warfare. The Harbinger seemed to shimmer for a moment. Then, without warning, a focused beam of light erupted from its bow. The hegemony destroyer didn't explode dramatically. It simply ceased to exist, converted instantly into superheated plasma. In the stunned silence that followed, Captain Ortiz's voice transmitted calmly. "That was our smallest weapon, deployed from our smallest ship. We call it the Sunlance. It's already obsolete by our current standards. This demonstration concludes our warnings. The next move is yours. Admiral, choose wisely." Admiral Zextral had never faced insubordination, much less defeat. The destruction of a hegemony destroyer was unprecedented and unacceptable. All vessels, battle formation, he commanded. Target their homeworld's orbital defenses. The hegemony fleet, 27 capital ships with hundreds of support vessels, surged forward toward Earth. On the Defiance, Captain Kate Wilson received the intelligence update. "They're coming in full force," she informed her crew. "Activate the Aegis Protocol." Across Earth's orbital defense grid, seemingly dormant satellites awakened. In the asteroid belt, mining operations suddenly revealed their true purpose as massive chunks of rock began moving, propelled by engines hidden within. "Sir," Sub-Commander Frill reported with growing alarm, "the humans are using the asteroids as weapons platforms. They're moving into intercept positions." Zextral dismissed the concern. "Primitive tactics. Our shields can." His statement was cut short as the first wave of human defenses activated. The asteroids didn't impact the hegemony ships as expected. Instead, they opened, revealing massive gravitational displacement devices that created localized space-time distortions. 5 hegemony vessels found themselves suddenly pulled into these artificial microsingularities, their advanced shields useless against the fundamental warping of space itself. In Earth's Strategic Defense Command, Laura Chen, Chief of Weapons Development, monitored the engagement. "Gravity traps functioning at 92% efficiency," she reported. "Phase 2 ready on your command, General." General Blackwell nodded. "Deploy the drone swarms." Across the solar system, thousands of microscopic drones activated, each carrying a payload of programmable matter. They swarmed toward the remaining hegemony vessels, attaching to their hulls and beginning to reconfigure the very molecular structure of the alien ship's outer armor. "What is happening?" demanded Zextral as status alerts flooded his command console. "Our hull integrity is being compromised." "Unknown technology, Admiral," responded a panicked technician. "The humans are using some form of matter manipulation." Admiral Zextral had never retreated. In 10,000 cycles of hegemony expansion, no commander had ever ordered a withdrawal. There weren't even established protocols for such an action. Yet as he watched half his fleet disabled by technologies the hegemony's best scientists couldn't comprehend, Zextral faced an unprecedented decision. "Prepare remaining vessels for tactical withdrawal," he ordered finally. But it was too late. From Earth's moon, previously hidden installations activated. Massive electromagnetic accelerators, technology the humans called mass traverse, launched projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. These weren't crude missiles or primitive bullets. Each projectile contained an engineered payload that, upon impact, briefly opened a controlled rift to a parallel dimension where physical laws operated differently. The results were catastrophic for the hegemony fleet. Ships didn't explode so much as partially phase out of normal spacetime. Their matter caught between dimensions. On the Defiance, Weapons Officer Greg Martinez watched the sensor readings with grim satisfaction. "Relativistic strikes successful, Captain. Dimensional warheads functioning within parameters." Captain Wilson nodded, her expression solemn. "Transmit to all Earth forces. Hold position. No pursuit of retreating vessels." Then, to communications, "Open a channel to the hegemony flagship." Admiral Zextral, surrounded by the ruins of his command center, received the human transmission with a mixture of rage and disbelief. "Admiral," came Captain Wilson's steady voice, "your remaining vessels are being permitted to withdraw. We have disabled, not destroyed them. They can still make the journey home." "Why?" demanded Zextral. "Why show mercy when victory is yours?" "Because we're not like you," Wilson replied simply. "We don't seek conquest. We don't want your worlds or resources. We simply want to be left alone. Take this message back to your hegemony. Earth is not for taking." 3 lunar cycles later, Admiral Zextral stood before the Grand Conclave of the hegemony, the first military commander in their history to report a defeat. "The humans possess technologies we cannot counter," He explained to the assembled hegemony leadership, their weapons manipulate fundamental forces in ways our science had not conceived possible. High Chancellor Vex Moden leaned forward on his throne. How could a species so young develop such capabilities? They've had interstellar flight for barely 2 decades. The answer came from an unexpected source. Lorekeeper Traz, the hegemony's chief xenohistorian, stepped forward. Because they evolved in war, the ancient scholar explained. Unlike every other species we've encountered, humans never achieved planetary unification before developing advanced technology. Their history is an unbroken chain of conflicts, spanning thousands of their years. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's military history, from primitive tribal skirmishes to global wars that had killed millions. While other species turned their science toward harmony and stability, humans constantly innovated new ways to defeat each other. When they finally did unite, they didn't discard this knowledge. They refined it, preparing for the day they might meet a hostile force among the stars. The implications stunned the conclave into silence. Meanwhile, on Earth, Director Jack Miller met with the Defense Council to review the after-action reports. The hegemony retreated beyond the Orc cloud, he confirmed. Our long-range sensors show they've set course back to their core systems. Will they return? Asked Secretary of Defense Paul Wright. Eric Daniels, Earth's leading xenopsychologist, stepped forward. Almost certainly, but not as conquerors. The hegemony has never encountered resistance like ours. They'll study what happened, try to understand us. And when they do, pressed Wright, they'll realize the truth, Daniels replied, that we only showed them a fraction of our capabilities. 1 Earth year later, a single hegemony vessel, not a warship but a diplomatic cruiser, approached the Sol system. It transmitted peaceful intentions on all frequencies. Director Miller studied the request for a formal meeting with President Sam Rodriguez and the Earth government. They're sending their High Chancellor, Miller noted. Unprecedented, according to our intelligence. Captain Kate Wilson, promoted to Admiral after the hegemony encounter, nodded. They want to understand how we defeated them. Should we tell them? Tell them what? Miller asked with a slight smile. That half our advanced weapons were theoretical designs we'd never actually tested in combat, that we gambled everything on a first strike because we knew we couldn't sustain a prolonged war. The diplomatic summit took place on neutral ground, a space station positioned at the Lagrange point between Earth and its moon. High Chancellor Vex Moden arrived with a small entourage of scientists and diplomats. President Rodriguez greeted the alien delegation with appropriate formality. Welcome to Sol System, Chancellor. We appreciate your willingness to engage in peaceful discourse. The insectoid Chancellor's translator conveyed his response. We come seeking understanding. In 10,000 cycles, no species has ever repelled a hegemony expansion fleet. Perhaps, suggested the President, that's because you've never encountered humans before. The negotiations lasted 7 days. The hegemony offered technology exchanges, resource rights, and mutual defense pacts, all previously unheard of in their dealings with other species. On the final day, Chancellor Vex Moden requested a private meeting with Admiral Wilson. You could have destroyed our entire fleet, the Chancellor stated once they were alone. Why didn't you? Wilson considered the question carefully before answering. Humanity has fought itself for most of our history, she explained. We became very good at killing, but we also learned something important along the way. The best victory isn't destroying your enemy, it's turning them into an ally. The Chancellor's compound eyes seemed to study Wilson with new appreciation, a concept foreign to the hegemony. We have much to learn from your species, and we from yours, Wilson replied diplomatically. Your civilization has achieved wonders we can only dream of. Yet you defeated us easily, the Chancellor noted. Wilson shook her head. Not easily, and not completely. We showed you a fraction of what we could do, just enough to make our point. The Chancellor's translator hesitated before conveying his next words. Our scientists have analyzed your weapons. Some appear to violate physical laws as we understand them. Wilson smiled. Perhaps your understanding needs expanding. Back on Earth, the Defense Council debated the terms of the proposed alliance. General Blackwell remained skeptical. Can we trust them? She asked. 10,000 years of conquest doesn't change overnight. Eric Daniels leaned forward. Their psychology is different from ours. They respect strength above all. By defeating them so thoroughly, we've earned something no other species has, their genuine respect. President Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. Then we proceed with the alliance, but we maintain our defenses. Trust, but verify. 5 years after the failed invasion of Earth, the galaxy was a changed place. The Treaty of Sol had established new principles for interstellar relations, with both humans and the hegemony serving as guarantors. Admiral Kate Wilson, now Earth's ambassador to the newly formed Galactic Council, stood before representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations. The old order of conquest and subjugation is over, she declared. Earth and the reformed hegemony together pledge to protect the sovereignty of all species who join our mutual defense compact. Former Admiral Zex Troll, now serving as the hegemony's military liaison to Earth, approached Wilson after the session. You've changed everything, he noted, mandibles clicking in what humans had learned was amusement. 10,000 cycles of hegemony expansion, undone by one encounter with your species. Not undone, Wilson corrected. Evolved. Your people built an impressive civilization. You just needed a reminder that might doesn't always make right. Zex Troll's secondary eyes blinked in sequence. Many in the hegemony still fear humans. They call you the warriors who broke the unbreakable. Wilson smiled. A colorful description. Inaccurate, though. We didn't break the hegemony. We helped it transform. Across the galaxy, previously subjugated worlds were experiencing self-government for the first time in millennia. Human advisors worked alongside reformed hegemony officials to establish fair systems that respected local customs and evolutionary differences. On the hegemony homeworld of Zakan Takar, High Chancellor Vex Moden addressed the conclave. Our encounters with humans have taught us that diversity breeds strength, he proclaimed. For too long, we imposed our will upon others, taking their resources while stifling their potential contributions. The ancient chamber, which had once echoed with plans of conquest, now buzzed with discussions of cultural exchange and scientific collaboration. Meanwhile, on Earth, Director Jack Miller reviewed intelligence reports with his successor, Deputy Director Olivia Gray. The hegemony is honoring the treaty, Miller confirmed. Their military has withdrawn from 17 previously occupied worlds in the past year alone. And the others? Gray asked. Transitioning to joint administration with local governments, Miller replied. It's happening faster than anyone predicted. In orbit around Jupiter, the first joint human hegemony research facility had begun operations. Scientists from both civilizations worked side by side, studying quantum physics and dimensional manipulation, areas where human intuitive leaps complemented hegemony's methodical approach. Dr. Kevin Peterson, lead human researcher, made a breakthrough while collaborating with Senvrel, a hegemony physicist. The dimensional barrier can be selectively permeable, Peterson explained to his alien colleague. We can create passages that allow energy transfer while blocking matter. Zenvrel's antennae quivered with excitement. This could revolutionize interstellar travel. On the edges of known space, a joint peacekeeping fleet patrolled former hegemony territory. The flagship, Unity, carried both human and hegemony crews, working in rotating shifts. Captain Sarah Fletcher sat in the command chair, reviewing sector reports when her hegemony second-in-command, Sub-Commander Krell, approached. Captain, long-range sensors have detected unusual energy signatures from beyond the Cygnus Arm. Unknown origin, possible new civilization. Fletcher nodded. Prepare first contact protocols. Let's do this right, together. Krell's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. They will be fortunate. Their first encounter with spacefaring life will be with peacekeepers, not conquerors. A better introduction than we had. Fletcher agreed with a wry smile. In Earth's Diplomatic Corps headquarters, Director Eric Daniels reviewed the latest intelligence with satisfaction. The former hegemony worlds were adapting well to self-governance, and several previously conquered species had developed their own spacefaring capabilities under human guidance. It seems our greatest weapon wasn't the sunlets or dimensional warheads after all, he remarked to his colleague, Dr. Ryan Harper. Oh, asked Harper. What was it then? Daniels smiled. The same thing that eventually stopped us from destroying ourselves. The ability to see a better way forward. Harper nodded thoughtfully. The hegemony had become stagnant. 10,000 years of unchallenged dominance left them without innovation or adaptation. Precisely, Daniels agreed. They conquered because that's all they knew. We showed them alternatives. In the newly established Galactic Academy on Mars, students from 23 different species studied together. The educational institution had become a symbol of the new interstellar order, a place where knowledge flowed freely between formerly divided civilizations. Professor Linda Hayes, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, led a diverse class through a discussion on evolutionary convergence. Despite our different origins, she explained, many species developed similar solutions to evolutionary challenges. This suggests certain biological principles may be universal. A hegemony student raised a limb to speak, yet our psychological development followed vastly different paths. The hegemony valued conformity and hierarchy, while humans embraced individualism and competition. Exactly, Hayes agreed. And now we learned from both approaches. On the former hegemony colony world of Nexteris, Governor Amy Nelson worked alongside local representatives to establish a constitution. The planet's insectoid natives had been under hegemony control for 8,000 cycles. Each community must have equal representation, Nelson emphasized. That's the foundation of sustainable democracy. The native leader, Zictrol, clicked his mandibles uncertainly. Such concepts are new to us. The hegemony always decided. And now you decide, Nelson replied gently. We're only here to advise, not to impose. In deep space, the exploration vessel Horizon made a historic discovery. An ancient derelict ship of unknown origin, drifting in the void between galaxies. Captain Ben Rogers led the joint human hegemony research team aboard the mysterious vessel. Its technology appeared more advanced than anything either civilization had encountered. Carbon dating suggests it's over 2 million years old, reported Dr. Susan Lewis, examining the alien control systems. Vrel Taz, the hegemony science officer, carefully studied the ship's database. This vessel contains star charts of multiple galaxies. Its creators were intergalactic travelers. Can you access their historical records? Rogers asked. Partially, the hegemony scientist replied. It appears they fled from something, a threat so severe they abandoned their home galaxy entirely. Lewis looked up from her scanner. What kind of threat would cause an entire civilization to flee across intergalactic space? Unknown, Vrel Taz answered, compound eyes blinking rapidly. But the records mention the darkness between stars and those who consume light. Rogers felt a chill run down his spine. Send everything to Earth Command and Hegemony Central. We may have just discovered why advanced civilizations are so rare in our galaxy. Later that night, as the research team continued their work, Rogers stood alone in the observation deck, staring at the distant smudge of the Andromeda Galaxy. If there's something out there that frightens intergalactic travelers, he murmured to himself, humanity and the hegemony will face it together. The ship's AI picked up his words. Message recorded, Captain. Would you like it transmitted? Rogers smiled. No, just a thought. But log this officially. The partnership between humans and the hegemony may have started with conflict, but it might be exactly what both our civilizations needed to face the greater unknown. On the edge of explored space, a joint human hegemony exploration vessel charted new star systems. Its mission patch bore the new motto of the Galactic Council, written in both human and hegemony script. Together we explore. United we stand. Through peace we thrive. Captain Steve Powell stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder, watching as sensors mapped an uncharted solar system. Beside him, his hegemony first officer, Commander Zilvax, monitored the readings with practiced efficiency. Unusual radiation signature from the fourth planet, Captain, reported Zilvax. Possible signs of artificial origin. Powell nodded. Launch probes. Standard first contact protocols if we confirm sentient life. 10 years after Earth's decisive victory over the hegemony, the galaxy had transformed in ways no one could have predicted. Former enemies now served together, combining hegemony's methodical precision with humanity's intuitive adaptability. Probe data incoming, announced Lieutenant Maria Valdez from the science station. Definite signs of a pre-spaceflight civilization. Technology level approximately equivalent to Earth's early 21st century. Recommendations? Powell asked, looking between his human and hegemony officers. Commander Zilvax's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Under old hegemony protocol, we would establish dominance immediately. Under Earth's protocols, we would observe without interference. And under our current shared protocols, Powell prompted, we maintain distance, document their development, and prepare a cultural exchange package for when they achieve independent FTL capability, Zilvax concluded. Powell smiled. Exactly right. Establish a monitoring satellite at the system's edge. Let's give them time to develop on their own terms. Back on Earth, in the gardens of the Galactic Council headquarters, Admiral Kate Wilson, now retired and serving as an advisor, met with High Chancellor Vex Moden for their annual private discussion. 10 years, Wilson mused, watching Earth's sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and reds. Sometimes I can hardly believe how much has changed. The aged Chancellor's translator conveyed his response. In 10,000 cycles, the hegemony never change. In 10 years with humans, we've transformed completely. Wilson smiled. Not completely. You've kept your strengths, your organizational abilities, your long-term planning, your architectural marvels. You've just added new perspectives. As humans have, the Chancellor noted. Your species now thinks beyond single lifetimes. You plan for centuries, not just decades. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before the Chancellor spoke again. The ancient ship your explorers found. Have your scientists made progress deciphering its warnings? Wilson nodded gravely. Some. Whatever drove those beings from their galaxy appears to move slowly on a cosmic timescale, but it's real, and it may eventually reach our galaxy. Then our alliance came just in time, Vex Moden observed. Neither of our civilizations alone could face such a threat. That's the irony, Wilson replied. If you had succeeded in conquering Earth, or if we had destroyed the hegemony completely, neither of us would be prepared for what might come. In orbit above them, the newly completed Stellar Guardian, the largest vessel ever constructed by any civilization, prepared for its maiden voyage. Built with combined human and hegemony technology, it represented the pinnacle of their shared achievements. Admiral Frank Rivera addressed the joint crew before departure. Your mission is to establish the first intergalactic monitoring station. You carry with you the hopes of not just humans and the hegemony, but all species of our united galaxy. As the massive ship engaged its dimensional drive, creating a stable passage through the void between galaxies, the crew felt the weight of history on their shoulders. Lieutenant Jeff Adams, standing at his navigation console, glanced at his hegemony counterpart. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if our first meeting had gone differently? The hegemony officer's mandibles clicked in their version of a smile. No need to wonder. The old hegemony archives still contain Admiral Zextral's first report after encountering humans. His final recommendation was simple. If you must face humans in war, there is only one wise course. Run.